Hello, beautiful beings. Today I'm going to talk about what is authentic modern Shakti Tantra yoga. Well, it's basically divine feminism, or the notion that humans that are not up on a mountain, male and celibate, could possibly be divine. It's absolutely revolutionary. And Shaktiism is actually an ancient religion based in the Hindu tradition. It is non-dual. Mine is non-dogmatic. My teacher is an enlightened being who eloquently modernized consciousness. It's really about the expansion of consciousness. That's Tantra. Okay. And we're here to birth a new modern Shaktiism that is based in direct realization or embodiment of the divine. And it really starts off with recognition of equality for all of us, and that the feminine energy is equal to the masculine energy, that we are all one family, we are all humanity. Okay, so non-dual means that there's not two. There is no other, that we are unified. So Tantra is the unification of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine within all of us, regardless of gender. That's really non-dualism. And this is a concept that is not just in Hinduism, but it exists within literally every religious tradition, the concept of unity. Okay, so in 2023, many of us are becoming more aware that humans are quite literally forgotten who we are. And we've lost touch with our heart and our soul, or the feminine. And most of the time, what we're focused on is what's physical and the thinking mind. We strategize, intellectualize, and spin, often trying to figure things out. And more, this isn't working because we're becoming more energetic beings. So we are looking at systems that are literally crumbling, and looking at maybe how misogyny exists in us, or racism, or anything that keeps us separate from all of creation. Okay, so this is not our fault, because we've literally come out of thousands of years of lower levels of consciousness. But it's up to us to choose to move from that unconscious place, or a lower level of consciousness, into a higher consciousness, and to our higher selves that's literally pulling us right now. So this is inside out spirituality. It's bowing the head to the heart. And this is reflected in the goddesses of yoga. Okay, so this is a process. And we realize that the status quo simply won't work anymore. And if we're going to maintain our current course of action, we will plunge into idiocracy. Or maybe we have plunged into idiocracy, which is actually a really bad movie by Luke Wilson, with Luke Wilson in it, actually, that deftly portrays the perpetuation of systemic misogyny. Okay, so Shakti Tribe says, we've actually been brainwashed by toxic patriarchy, and humans are programmed on deep levels beyond our comprehension. So we are embodying new energies that are more feminine, instead of becoming more masculine, which is what the feminine has done in the past. So we're moving out of victimhood into empowerment. And these yoga goddesses, or deity yoga, which is actually the highest form of yoga in Tibetan Buddhism, literally becoming, imagine yourself as divine, maybe strong Durga, or creative, flowing, sexual Saraswati, or the lover Aphrodite, or Lakshmi, who's literally a queen. That literally is something that helps us program our DNA. So this was invented, if you will. These practices were invented by yogis thousands of years ago. So in science, we could call it, we could call it quantum energy. We could call it We could call it data, or we could call it sexual energy, life force energy. But this is an energy that yoginis have trained and amplified for centuries. So our modern Shakti tradition provides a safe space for the feminine. We need to do this on a societal level. We need to create a safe space for the feminine. That is the essence of the divine masculine, the deep, deep, deep love of the feminine. So if this is a path that you're interested in, we're literally building the plane in the air. And bottom line, it requires a commitment and love for yourself, compassion for yourself, and a love for the feminine, and wanting to really remember who you are. Okay, so this is direct experience with the divine, or the embodiment of the divine, and the realization of the interconnectedness of all creation. So these practices include, I basically distilled a lot of the best practices from, Buddhism and the Vedic tradition, which are my traditions, and I'm a lineage holder, both of those. But it's, several practices that are really basic or foundational. So that includes witness consciousness, or the yogic model I call it the yogic model of witness consciousness, or yoga consciousness, the Four Noble Truths, pranayama or breath practices, authentic movement, mantra meditation, and bhakti practice, which is devotional yoga. So we're literally finding that, the deity yoga is looking at perhaps an external object, whether that be Mother Earth. Really, the divine feminine is Mother Earth. That is our model for divine feminism. Or it might be the sacred masculine, or the divine masculine, that holds that space, that gets you to actually do your practices. The foundation, or the ground of being, the level of consciousness that you are at, will literally dictate what you're willing to do to evolve. And some people just don't have it, but really, or aren't interested, and that's cool. But we are all evolving, and we're all going to find our own path. And that's really part of the Four Noble Truths, that we're finding a path to relieve our suffering. Okay, so today I'm just going to briefly discuss that, non-duality, and goddess frequencies. So we say now is the time to claim Shakti. So, what is Shakti? So Shakti is the divine feminine life force, or sexual energy, creative energy, that animates our bodies and literally creates everything in the universe. Okay, so she is known as the artist, lover, the great mother, warrior, the queen, or the wise woman. She has many aspects, and she's constantly flowing from one aspect to the other, depending on what the situation requires. Okay, so this is a energy. These are frequencies, or quantum energy, that are in everyone, regardless of gender. Okay, so some might call her the Holy Ghost, or maybe, as I said before, data. Okay, but most humans believe in a higher power, and it's time for us to recognize the divine feminine. Okay, so she brings beauty, love, compassion, and wisdom into this world. And we believe that the future of humanity depends on the awakening of the divine feminine that is held safe by the divine masculine. So we see this often in female-bodied humans. And that's literally the rise of women and girls, and holding safe space for them is really, really critical right now. This is an evolution that occurs from the inside out, as we develop deep love and devotion towards the divine feminine, while reaching higher levels of consciousness. So now is the time to honor, regard, respect, and protect our powerful divine masculine and divine feminine energies that enable us to individually and collectively reach our highest potential for the current evolution of humanity. Okay, so this is a basic foundation that came out of my experience. Okay, so I realize that I'm evolving, that a lot of these teachings that I've been studying for 20 some odd years are really starting to sort of pop in my body and in my mind, where it's becoming more empty. Okay, so it's kind of becoming this sort of void, which I think the Tibetan Buddhists talk about a lot. So that is the space where we create. So literally, we are creatrixes. We are leading humanity towards compassion, wisdom, and most of all, love into a new world based in peace. So I hope you will join me. This is an experiential process, and it's going to be fun because the status quo just isn't going to work anymore. So we are literally creating this on the fly with the plane in the air as something that will replace it, which is more spirituality. It's more individuated spirituality, because no one can dictate to you who you are, why you're here. And really, it actually starts with self-respect and setting boundaries. So that's the energy of Durga Ma, boundaries and fierce love for, say, your artist inside. Okay. Second chakra is sexuality. That's Sarasvati or Aphrodite, literally letting go and flowing. And the third chakra is identity. So we've been taught to come from lack or not enough or competition. And the flipping of that is we're actually going to be working as partners. The masculine and feminine are working in partnership. So it is the structure, the mind, the heart and soul working together. And, it's an energy that's coming in very, very quickly. So this is my first talk on Shaktiism, just giving you an overview of this ancient tradition that was actually started by yoginis. And they would have midnight rituals and sometimes dinners. Occasionally, men would be invited that were very, very fortunate. That would actually be initiated by the women. Sometimes these rituals were co-hosted, if you will, by men and women. But please be aware that women and the feminine is part of the foundation of Tantra yoga and Tibetan Buddhism. Literally, it wouldn't have happened without women. And we're going to explore that more. Miranda Shaw wrote a book called Passionate Enlightenment, which talks about this extensively from an academic standpoint. We're going to experience it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild. It's revolutionary, and it's rebellious. So this weekend, I'm actually going to be heading off into the forest as an outcast of society, practicing divine feminism or Shaktiism. So anyway, thanks for listening. And now is our time. Now is the time for the rise of the divine feminine. Sending all of my love. Namaste.